Welcome to Django session part 5. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing to receive further updates. Till now we have learned how to create a user model from abstracting the model and also creating a login and logout page, displaying the creating the products module, and then creating the product model, inserting the product values, as well as displaying it on the home page what all products are available for the user. We also looked into how we can add particular product to the wish list. Apart from that, I had given an assignment. From the particular wish list, it should show the only wish listed product and not the entire products. What was there in our last class till what we had developed. So we are building a online visitor shopping portal wherein the products will be added from the admin part. It will be visible to the users and users can go ahead and place order of those products. The products here we refer to fruits or vegetables. We saw in the last class how the products are added, how what is the type of the product, and this is the UI that we are able to see here now. So today we won't be looking into the actual e-commerce website that we are building, but we will look into certain concepts of Django. This is our today's agenda. First we'll solve the assignment that I had given you earlier. Then we'll look into what is Django middlewares. Remember, whatever concepts I am discussing in today's class are very much important for the interviews. So also we'll be looking into what are other middleware hooks, and one more thing, we are going to build our own Django custom middleware. So we will also discuss about Python debugger. To understand where our program is failing, we have Python debugger available. So that also we are going to discuss, and Django signals. So you will come to know what the Django signal is and how it reduces the code. First we will discuss about the assignment that we had created. Now screen is looking like this. You saw last time we developed something for the wish list. We added the products to the wish list. You come here and go to the database. So this is the database that we are using for the entire curriculum of this session. Look into here what are the tables are available. So inside the wish list product, we had added one product. For the current user, we had added one product. You see here, this is the product that was added as a wish list. I had discussed you, wish list is nothing but the same page that you need to copy in, but only display the products that are there in the wish list. So how you do that? Let's see this. Okay, coming to our code, inside products, we had created this wishlist function based view. That is, let me check what is happening. Okay, we'll create one more URL path here as like this. Just will give a path as wishlist and say wishlist class based view. Coming here in the view section, I'll add this class based view and I'll import list view. So what this is gonna do is list view. Okay, coming here, I need to first take that list view, import the list view, list, import list view. Okay. This class we had discussed earlier also. Just we need to provide the template name over here. So what is the template name? That inside the templates folder, inside the products, I don't have any product detail. I have only products detail view. So I'll add one more page called HTML page called wishlist view. Cool. I can say product wishlist view, inside which I'll have okay, I'll say that h1 display your wish list here. Inside the products, it is going to class based view. You have model called wish list. Inside the model wish list, you see here there was which user has created this wish list and what product is added to the wish list and the created that. So all things you can use. So wish list, this wish list will give all the items that are added to the items as view. So you need to mention a template name over it. Your template is present in the product section and then saying the products underscore detail underscore view. Not detail, it's a wish list. Inside which your this list view will execute the object ORM concept like this. So I'll put in the command how it will take it automatically. It will be like, it will just say wishlist objects dot all. It will put in the context, or it will put in the form of the list view and then pass as the context to this product wish list view. Now going to dashboard, I'll I'll come to the wish list, display your wish list here. In the base.html, search for the wish list span and give here the URL. So URL should be given like this. URL, say this particular URL is present in the product section, products, and then say wish list. This product wish list, go to the, whenever you see a URL like this, go to the product section. In the URL section, that product was the namespace products and then the wish list name. Okay, this is how it is working. Whenever I click on the wish list, I don't see anything. That means this has not applied me the changes. Okay, now it has applied me the changes, but there is some error in the code. Let us check what that error is. Going to the views and then say okay, URLs as view is correct now, and just let's rerun the server. Once the server is reloaded, we should be able to see on the click of wish list, we should be able to see. So this was our home page. On click of wish list, okay, what is the problem? On click of wish list, get wish list. Okay, let me go ahead and check what is the problem in the base.html. Okay, here you can see I have added a double curly braces. I hadn't ended up properly the URL, so it was giving us the problem. Let my server start again with these changes. Save, rerun. Okay, now if you see, when I come to the wish list, okay, here you see template does not exist at wish list. Once you go to wish list, here it is giving me the problem because I haven't given the proper template name. So my template exists at this location, products underscore wishlist underscore view dot html. Inside the views, see here, I haven't added the extension for this HTML page. I hope this should solve our problem. This is how we get the errors, and this is how we should be able to know what this error exactly means. Or still it's products underscore wishlist underscore view dot html. Okay, something I have done. This is my wish list. Let me fix this problem. Here my app name is products and template is available in the products and product. Okay, this was okay. I'll see it. You can see here I have added only product underscore wishlist. You can refactor this name. Simply right clicking on this, go to refactor and then rename. Okay. Now I am sure it will solve our problem. For the faster execution, I'll just stop and restart the system. Let's see whether our server is reloaded. Not, our server is not reloaded yet. Let's wait for a moment and then okay, this displays your wish list here. Okay. Just we displayed the template properly. What we need to do, we need to copy in the code of the home.html page. I'll simply paste this in wishlist view because I have the thumbnails and inside which you need to pass in the products as such. So how we will in the products, going to the wishlist, here you can see the products are available. If you want to change, you can change the name of context object name as products. So whatever context you added will be going into the context object name. Once you save this, so these products are available now to this page. Once you reload, you see here the product whatever you had added to the wish list is displaying here. Cool. Here you can see two products and here you are able to see only one product. Coming over here, I'll add one more item to the wish list. So it was in the wish list section, you saw the fruit. Okay, I'll just see what all things are there in the wish list. Here you see product ID, created date, and the user ID is being added to the wish list. Now I'll add one more product to the wish list. So what that product will be, going to the home page, going to the detail view of the product. I'll just cancel this, going to detail view of the product. So to go to the detail view of the product, you had applied login required things. So I'll log in because you cannot add the product unless to the wish list unless and until you logged in, because wishlisted user should have the user information also who has logged in. So you cannot directly add those details. You need to log in first, go to the detail view. Now it is going properly because we have already logged in using admin thing, and then say add to wish list. Suppose when I come to the wish list, it should display me the two products. You can see here two products are being displayed. Now this is giving me a problem. So let me go ahead and check why this is giving me a problem. Product wish list view. Inside the product wish list view, I'll only display the products object. Here you see there are two products available in this products object. So you tend to take one product at a time and you add those product into the thumbnail provided. So in the URL section you see the detail view is being given, as we had discussed this in the last class also. I'll just take up like say product, and currently you are fetching the things from the wishlist view. So what we have under wishlist view is this: wishlist user, wishlist product, and created that. Under this product again is a foreign key for the products. Inside the product you have like product wishlist user, wishlist underscore product dot URL. Sorry, image or photo, that is inside the products you have product photo. Okay, wishlist product. Product is now your wishlist object, and inside which you have, inside the models you have wishlist product. Copy in this, paste it over here. Through this you can access this product photo and then URL of it. So quickly changing all these things. I'll change all these things at a time. Let's reload. Okay, here you see I have added this object list. I am only printing the username and the product name. So you can make the fill better by adding the home page thumbnail. So how do we add that? Because I had simply taken all the row from the contact. I'll copy in and then say paste it over here. Apart from this you will get the object list, and you can say object. For every object you can add it like this, as I was discussing here, into the URL section. What this product type would be: first is object, wishlist product, product type. Okay, so this one thing I have changed. Then let's say product name we want to display, so you can simply add object dot product wishlist product and then product name. Let me add this, let me change these details and show you how our UI will look like now. Hope so my UI will work fine accordingly. You see in the wishlist section two products were added, and those two products you are able to see now. But what if I log out and log in again with different user? Use the username as trending. and log in with that username. Trending. Root at 123 is my standard password for all the users. Coming over here inside the home, inside the wish list, you are now able to see two products. But when I come to home and add this one more product to add to wish list and then clicking on wish list, you are able to see three products. But it is not the correct data you are able to see, right? Because two products are of the admin part and one product is of the user trending. So this is not the correct information that you are seeing on your screen. So let's fix this also. So how to fix this? Now coming over here in the code, let me go to the URLs and this wishlist class wishlist. So wishlist objects.all. This is the ORM that it is getting executed when you provide a list view. But you have a function def query set wherein you can alter the query set. So you see here I am altering the query set saying that wishlist object filter wishlist user is self request user. That means I am giving the user first to this wishlist and filtering only the data related to that user, and I am returning this query set to the class again. I should be able to see only data related to the trending user now. Let me reload this and you are about to see only the data related to that trending user. Now I quickly log out and log in again with the admin part of it and say, and I'll show you what the wish list will consist of. I had added two products in the wish list of the user admin. Now when I click on the wish list, I am able to see two products over here. Now what you need to do? You need to delete. You need to put in the delete link here from the remove from wish list link over here. Just after the price, you can put the wish list delete function here. So how you do that? Go to the wish list page, so which is something looks like this, and then add href wherein I'll say remove from wish list. Okay, I'll show you how UI looks like now, and when you reload you are able to see this remove from wish list. Okay, once you click on this remove from wish list, it should be going to some function. So I'll add the URL as like this URL and say products remove wish list item, and I'll pass on the object ID for the same. So this product, it has to remove .id, remove wishlist item, but this remove wishlist item is not present under my URL section of the products. So I'll quickly copy in these things and then say remove wishlist item. To remove wishlist item, I'll give URL as delete and call my wishlist delete wishlist CBV. Okay, which is not again present inside the view. I'll go inside the view and say class delete wishlist view. I need to import something as delete view. Quickly come over here and then import from django.views.generic.edit delete view. Import delete view. Pass in delete view in this class, so it will override this class. Whatever methods you give into this class, it will be overridden. So you can simply pass in such as model and then say delete from wish list. So you took the ID of the product, okay, and you make it to delete. Now you can pass something as success URL. So I want my success URL should be on the products page. I'll say products and then say wish list. I want it to reload on the same page only. I'll see whether the server is giving any trouble to reload. No, it's not. Let me reload and check whether this is working fine. Okay, it says remove wishlist item with argument 2 not found pattern try delete. Okay, here you see products and then wishlist. Okay, this is fine. I'll do one thing, remove wishlist item from the products. Coming to products, remove wishlist item was the URL and then object wishlist product dot id was the id that we are passing from remove from wishlist. So what is the problem it is giving? Reverse for remove wishlist item. There is something wrong over here. I'll just remove this. What we'll do is we'll keep this inside the wish list. Whenever we come, we'll keep this as an assignment. Okay, in the next class I'll discuss this delete view because I am not passing in the correct arguments over here, so it is giving me the trouble. Till now our assignment was just to show the wishlist item that are particularly for that user. Coming to the URLs, I'll just put in the comment for this delete wishlist. Just remember guys, we should be discussing this in the next class. Moving to what is middleware. The middleware is regular Python class. Remember this, as the name itself says that it is something put into the middle of request and response cycle. So middleware is something which can change the execution of particular view. Before going to that view, we can perform some operation. So that is what middleware is. And in Django, there are some basic middleware that are created on the creation of the project. I'll quickly go in the project setting files and I'll show you what all things are available to you when you create the project. So inside the middleware section, you are able to see these many middlewares are built-in middlewares that comes with the Django. Also, you can remove all these middlewares without any exception, but the problem is it is not recommended. It is not suggested one, because this middleware will provide you security. See the security middleware will provide the security. Session middleware will handle all your sessions. Common middleware will append the slash whenever you search in like this. If I see, my page looks like this now, and whenever I go to the wish list, okay, there was some problem. I'll remove that one from the product wish list. I'll remove this href part. I'll remove this URL. If I try to click on the wish list like this, removing this forward slash, it will automatically add the forward slash to it. This is what the work of this common middleware. So some of the middlewares should be there in the settings file. No need all of the middlewares, but yes, CSRF view middleware will protect you from the SQL injections. You saw this about how we create the CSRF token while submitting the form. Authentication middleware will basically work with the authentication, login, logout, and then message middleware. What you saw the messages like login successful, wrong username and password is due to this message middleware. Now our middleware architecture looks like this. Whenever you make a HTTP request, that means whenever you call in the URL /wishlist take an example of slash wishlist. It will pass into all the middlewares like common middleware, session middleware, CSRF. In whatever manner it is been put in the list of middleware setting, it will follow the approach of top to bottom. Remember, this question will be asked to you guys whenever you are 3 years experience. This question is compulsory. What is middleware? In what manner it behaves? It works in the top to bottom approach while request is being passed. When request is being sent, before it reaches the view part of your program, it will first go to top to bottom, and you see here it will follow all this middleware, and it will go in the def called process view. And once the request is response, like you see here, process response, okay, it will be followed from once your weak function is executed, it will give you the some response, and that response goes in the process response method of the middleware class. While moving from response to request cycle, it will go from bottom to top approach, and all these middleware should pass get response method, so that it will tell that at this part of middleware it is working fine and you are able to move to the next part. So this is how my simple middleware class will look like. So def init is the constructor of this middleware class which accepts this get response parameter. Unless and until you pass this get response parameter to this constructor, it won't be initiating you the constructor for the middleware. Remember this. So this get response, we are making it available throughout the class by saying self.getResponse and getResponse. Def call is the method called on every request cycle. So whenever you request any new URL, it will call this def call, and then see here the code before this get response will be like before the view is executed, and after the view is executed, this code is being executed after the view. Okay, we are simply returning the response. See here, Django initializes your middleware with only get response argument, as I have told you guys. So you can't define init as requiring any other argument. You cannot pass any other argument to this init function. Unlike call, this init is executed only when the server is started, and this call is executed every time the request user make request. That we'll see here by doing some hands-on. So where you write your middleware, I'll simply go in the online cart in my project directory. I'll create a new file called middleware. I'll put in the imports that are required for this creation of the middleware. I'll simply say class simple middleware, and you can say init self. I'll print in, just say pass. As I said, get response argument should be passed to this. This I'll make it to access globally throughout this class response. So this I'll just print in. This is called on server start. I'll call the call method. As this works with request method, I'll pass in the request. I'll response as this. I'll get some response. As we are using class, I'll use self.getResponse and pass in the request. To show you, this is called before view. Okay, this is called for every request that comes in. Save, return. Now this simple middleware should be included to the settings middleware file in order to activate this. So we will see how to activate our middleware that we have written in the middleware file. But before we write, I can see that my middleware file is not named correctly. Go to refactor and then rename. This file name should be exactly matching as middleware.py, because this is what the naming convention of middleware.py file. Go to the middleware list in the settings file and add this online cart dot middleware dot simple middleware. So this is how you tend to activate your middleware. Now this middleware, once the server is reloaded, see here you can see one message as this is called on the server start. This init function is executed only once when the server is start. This call, now I'll go here and now I'll go to the browser and reload my wishlist. Here you should be able to see this is called on the server start. This is called for every request that comes in. I'll remove this. Okay, this is called for every request that comes in. We'll discuss few more hooks that are available inside your middleware. So these are the few more hooks that are available. So inside the class middleware you can have the process view that is called just before your Django calls the view. Okay, you can have it separately also, like in the call you can call it just before your response line. You can call whatever code you write there, it will be called before your view. And process exception is only the hook that is processed on exception of the whatever in the response you get the exception error. After the execution of your view, whenever you get a exception in response, that time this method is executed. Process template response. When you render some template, that is passed as a template response in the middleware, and that is being taken care by your process template response. So these are the three hooks that are again available with you and not limited to. So it should see your process view should either respond you with the none object, that means the process will run smoothly, one after another your middlewares will be called. But if it is returning you the HTTP, either it should be responding with the HTTP response object, that means your process is not going to move further, and then HTTP response object will call your template and it will render the page that you are looking for. So this is how it works, and we'll also see about Django custom middlewares, how to create a custom middlewares in Django. So we have one use case for discussing this custom middleware. First, when we come to our home page, we had put in certain limitations for accessing the website for the public user. On the home, you can see the home page is visible to you, to all the users. Okay, but detail page is not visible unless and until you log into the system. And as well as from the login, you see sign up page is there. But this sign up page, your sign up page is visible, should be visible to all the public users. So we have not added up login required method on these things. We'll quickly go ahead and see what code we had written earlier for login required. So once you move into dashboard view section, you see here inside the home or homepage CBV, we hadn't added any of the login required things. Moving to the products views.py file, you see that login required decorator was being added to detail view page. So I will just remove in this login required, and as well as remove the product detail view from the class base view. Without user being logged into the system, you should be able to see the detail view of the product. Now you are able to see the detail view of the product, which is incorrect, because unless and until you are logged into the system, you see you are not logged in. Unless and until you are logged into the system, you should not be able to see this page. But we are not supposed to write the code again and again for login required, saying the decorator as well as if it is a class based view, we were adding the login required mixin over here. So we are not supposed to write that code again and again, which makes our process lengthier. So what we need to do is we need to have the custom middleware set it up over here in the online card, move to the middlewares, and I'll remove this part. Then what I'll do, I'll add custom middleware, login required middleware. What this is going to do is this is going to apply login required for every path. Okay. I'll pass in this class. I don't need to write init and call method again over here, because this class will hold. Once you look into, go to this class, control, see here all the process request is available, inside which you are taking from the middleware mixin, which will again have the init class, and then call method also should be available for this class. So I don't need to write, unless and until you need to override certain things, you don't need to write those methods inside your class. So I'll start writing your login required middleware inside the def process view. As we had discussed this hook earlier, what all things it will take is just say self and then request. Process view should have view function also as your argument, view func, and say view args, view quarks. Inside the settings file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add certain paths that should be exempted. See, your login page itself, your authentic, suppose say home page, these are the public available links, so that should be exempted. So what I'm going to do is quickly going to the settings file, I'll add in at the last these many URLs that should be exempted from your whatever login required decorator you are supposed to call, that should be exempted, your sign up page, your login page, and your home page. Now what I'll do is I had written something like this inside the URL section. At the home, I'll add in the home, because it will be giving me the problem inside the base.html also. I'll add in it as home. Okay, where is that home? Dashboard home. It will go to that page. Not a problem. Here you see online card WSJ application couldn't be loaded. Okay, so there is something wrong in my middleware. I'll come here and say I'll first take in the settings that I have added. I'll first taking the ignore paths that I want. What am I doing here? I'm with the regular expression, I'm compiling my URLs that are present inside your login required inside the settings.py file. So this, what this code is going to do, it is going to take all the list and add it over here inside the middleware. This is the concept of your list comprehension, and what it is doing for every URL, it is stripping the left, forward slash. So what our ignore paths will look like. So inside the process view, I am going to print the ignore paths. So while discussing the concept of middleware, we will also discuss the debugger that we can use to locate our errors. With the help of debugger, it becomes very easier to find out where our code is and what exactly our code is performing. Okay, if you don't know the concept of debugger, I'll quickly show you how we should import the debugger and how we should start doing it. But this is giving me a problem, and inside which settings file I am going to call in login required middleware. This is simple middleware, login required middleware. That means whenever the server is started, this all middlewares are loaded from the online. We have added one more middleware that is login required middleware. I'll just return none. As I say, if I'm returning none, that means there is no problem in it. Okay. Now my server is running fine. That means I don't have any problem till here. So my home page path is under home now. I can come here and show you what the ignore paths are. Now my ignore paths are like, I want to ignore certain things when logging into the system. I don't want to make login required for this sign up page, because for the registration we don't require that. For the login page and for the home page, because home is the publicly available URL for our users. So this is what that recompile. It created a regular expression object for on these URLs with the help of this code. Get attributes in the settings, that means it will see in these settings whether this attribute called login required ignore paths is present. If not, it will return the empty list. Moving ahead, we will just see if the user is authenticated. First of all, we'll see if the user is authenticated. We will say return none. If the user is not authenticated, we will start putting in the things. I'll just say print user not authenticated. And here I'll say user is authenticated. Now user, when he is not logged into the system, it should return me some HTTP response object. Okay, I said every process, this hook will take two, it should return at least two things, either it is none or it is HTTP response object. So I'll say return redirect format users login. I want to return to the users login when the user is not logged into the system, and I want to print this message also. Let's wait for server to reload and quickly see what's happening. Now my user is not logged into the system. Let's see how things will work. I'll click on the wishlist page. You can able to see here what is happening. Whenever I say clicked on wishlist, what it happened, it said user not authenticated, and it moved to the page. See here, redirect format reverse and users login page. It went to the users login page. Till here it is not displaying me the, though it is not displaying me the login page as of now. We shall be discussing this, why this is not displaying. First we'll see what all things are coming up here. So once the user is not authenticated, first take the path from the request object, strip it by /. So what paths will be like, see when I say okay, I'll just discuss about debugger also, pdb.setTrace. So this is how you start debugging your code. You just need to import pdb python debugger and pdb.setTrace. Now whenever you reload the things, and I'll come up here and I'll reload. I want my home page to be displayed. Now it will not display because it will, we have added a debugger here. So when you want to see what line it's going to execute, so this is what the line it is going to execute next. Okay, you need to just put in L list and then say move on the next line N. So what it does is, this is the, you saw the here it got executed. It saw whether the user is authenticated or no, the user is not authenticated because we have not logged in to the system yet. Okay, now see here, when I click on next and say list, it passed this test properly and it came to this line. It printed me that user not authenticated. Now if you want to check in what is present in the request, you can check it like this. Your request is something like this. So request dot path info. You can also check in what is value present in the all of the objects. So okay, first of all request, and then request you see here request.path will give you home. So what my code is doing under this path, okay, I am stripping this to match it with my ignore path, because my ignore path will not have first slash and it will have only the second most slash. As you see, I can also print the value to see what is value present for ignore paths. You can see here recompile, sign up, login, and you see here first slash is not present. I want to match it with the regular expression to this list. So how I do that? I quickly write the list comprehension on that and say, I'll say, okay, from take all the URL from the ignore path for every URL m, okay, match it with the path. That means your path is now home. Your path is now home. And when you add a L strip, it becomes something like home slash. Now home slash will be matched with every URL. Now home slash will be matched with all the URLs. Yes, this is present, right? So it will say, now I'll just say, okay, I'll print in the path. Path is equal to request dot path dot L strip. From the left, it is going to strip this slash. I'll print in what is my path. So this is my path now. The value present inside my path is this home slash. So what I'm going to do, I'll quickly copy in this and I'll show you how the things are working. So I'll put it under list. Okay, I'll put it under some list and then say copy in. Okay. For every m dot match path. So path also I'll give in the single quotes slash home slash. So this is my path now, and inside the ignore path put it in the, okay, something is wrong in this m dot match for m in ignore paths. Okay, I understood what is the wrong. Here we have kept it like this only, tuple list. Okay, here you see from this list home got matched for the third, this one. First thing you saw that inside our ignore paths we had this many things, elements in the list, and first it matched with this element for the home slash, it got nothing. Then it matched with this, it got nothing. Then it matched with this, it got home. That means we have something matching in the ignore paths. When we have something matching in the ignore paths, that becomes, when we say any of the LIS, yes, it's true. So our condition becomes false. Now we are saying that if not true, that means if false, it won't be executing this, it won't be going to the login page, it should simply display me the home page. Going here, now we have blocked it to the PD. Now to continue the process, simply you can say C. I don't want to go to the next like this, next like this, just say C. That means continue the process. User not authenticated, it printed this message and then came up here. You see, without the login page we are able to see this, okay, without the logged into the system. Now I want to block the products detail view page. In the settings file, let me check what all things I have added. Yes, products is being added, login and sign up page. Now my signing and login page should be visible, and whenever I say product /8, I'll quickly go ahead and in the middle where I'll simply comment out the debugger so that my process runs smoothly, and inside which I'll add in the proper, okay, this is my code for that. I'll restart the server. Now we are on to the home page, but when I click on this page, you saw that what is happening on click of login page, on click of product/8, what it happened, it redirected me to the user's login page. This is happening because of your middleware now. For everything else apart from your login sign up page, it will, and home page, it will be simply take the login required decorator for entire path. So we need to fix in one more thing, and also authenticate def we need to view we need to fix in, cause with the whenever we log into the system, we are decorator login required method, we should be able to access this authenticate. Now when I say product/3, yes, it is asking me to log in first, and whenever I say root at 123 and I log into the system, okay, now it is giving me a problem saying, okay, it is okay, let me fix this. Whenever I say authenticate, inside authenticate, what am I was doing is login URL was being passed like this, and redirect URL. So there were two things. Okay, here I'll add simply home/ and login this. So you saw our empty URL that we were using earlier, localhost 3000/ that we changed it to home, because we were facing problem in login required middleware. You are under this and you are inside the admin. You are logged into the admin part now. Once you click on detail view, you should be able to see detail view. Yes, you are able to see detail view. Now you can add the things to wish list. That becomes a proper structure, because unless and until you come to you are logged into the system, you cannot add things to the wish list. Let's discuss something else now. Here you see wish list also should be displayed only on logged in. When you log out and click on wish list, it will ask me to log in again. So this saves the work that we were doing earlier. We were importing login required decorator and we were simply applying here at login required, but now we don't want to act it because our middleware itself. So how things are working, let's quickly revise these things. Go to the online cart project directory, go to settings py file. First of all, you add in what all URLs that you need to ignore, paths. Okay, I need to ignore paths for the sign up, login, home and authenticate view. So that is why I have added these things. So in future also, whenever you want to ignore something, you want to make it public accessible, you add under this login required ignore path. Taking the regular expression, we made the all URLs as regular expression object. Here you saw how our ignore paths were looking like. Okay, those ignore paths, whenever the user is not authenticated, remove the first / and match that path, match the URL with that path. So you can mention it as URLs for understanding purpose, or else you will forget. This URL is being matched with this path. Whenever it is found to be true, we are making the negative of this. If this found to be true, that means URL is present inside the ignore path. Okay, we are making it as false and we are not redirecting it to the login page. We took an example of home, that means URL is present in the ignore path, which is this condition is true. We are making it negative. That means if now the code becomes if false, it won't be executing this. It will simply move on to the return none and it will return us the page that we were looking, the home page. Now we took the example of wish list. Now wish list is not present under the ignore path, okay, which becomes like false. Now to this false we are adding up the not, that means it becomes true. If true, yes, the products page is not displayed and it will be moved to the user's login. Now whenever the user is authenticated, yeah, simply move on to the return saying none. That means it will move on to the next page without having to do anything. Yes, we have revised all these things. What we are going to do, we are going to discuss one concept called Django signals. So what this Django signal is, now we will discuss this with one example. You want to add the user logs, okay. What you are going to do, what is your how you will perform user logs. So you need to see whether whenever the user is logged in to the system or no, okay. Once this thing is got triggered, now Django signal is statuted to allow application to get notified when certain events occur. Let's consider this example. Whenever one army person is there and he will be keeping an eye on enemies. Whenever so he got an order of whenever he sees an enemy, just shoot him. So that is what action he is giving. Whenever he watches the enemy, he is providing an action. Django signals work in the same manner. Whenever you perform certain operations and that operation will trigger some function, okay. So this is where the concept of Django signal will come. We have got certain signals on model pre-save and post-save. So what this model pre-save and post-save is, suppose you have wish list, okay. Inside the products you have model wish list, okay. On this model, whenever this model is saved, I want to log certain things like I want to store the logs related to this wish list. Whenever this wish list model is stored, whenever the wish list item is added, I want to log that this user has placed this wish list item. So I want to log this somewhere. So that time I can make use of Django signals by using pre-save and post-save. Before whatever model you are storing, I am storing the wish list model. I want to perform some operations before this, I can use pre-save signal. And if I want to provide certain operations that are after the save of this wish list model, then I can use post-save signal. Got it? So apart from this, there are other models such as pre-delete and post-delete. After the model is being deleted, you again make a call to this pre-delete, and these are model related signals that I am discussing, okay. So first and foremost thing, where you write your signals. So you need to write the signals. First and foremost thing you do is under the products, I want to write a signals now. So what I am going to do is okay, not under the products, I want the I have one use case that the user logs should be stored. So what I'll do, inside the users module, I am going to create one Python file called signals. Here Django dispatcher will provide one receiver for this. This receiver I am going to use as a decorator. Whenever I am writing certain functions, that time I am going to use this decorator. So I'll also see what all signals are present. We have certain default signals in the auth, say signals, see user logged in and user logout. Whenever these things happen, user login and logout, I want to store this somewhere. So where I'll store these things now? I'll create under the users model, I'll create one more class called class user logs, and I'll provide this class models.model. Why this class? Before we were upside you can see custom users is abstracting from user model, and here we don't need to have such thing, so I have given it like this. So I'll say user log user. This is naming convention that I tend to follow. Models dot foreign key. Now my user will be a foreign key that will be taking the settings or dot model from Django conf import settings. Okay, from the settings auth user model. This user model I am going to use as my foreign key. And on delete cascade, on delete model dot cascade. So this is what we had discussed in the earlier session. If you are facing some problem understanding this, you can go ahead and see that previous session also. So I want model to be created with the user. So user logs, I can say, okay, sorry, user log action. So user log action, I want to provide the action for the user log. So whether the user is logged in, whether the wishlist item is added. So this and all kind of actions you can provide. So I'll just say max length 100 and say blank true. So blank true and null true, we have discussed what this means in the previous session. So you can go ahead and see that session. So blank is related to the front end part and null is related to the database. User created, we are going to create a date field for this date time field, and then say auto add now. That auto now add true means it will, even if you don't provide the created date, it will add you the date for this. So once I create the model, I need to first go to the terminal and say make migration. Python manage.py make migrations. As you can see, we created the model called user logs and your migration file is this. We need to use this migration file and migrate the things. So just issue a command migrate. So it will take the entire migration file that were not previously used. So it will create us applying users log. That means it is going to create us the model data table inside our. So here you are able to see only 12 tables. Once you refresh, you should be able to see 13 tables, and those 13 tables inside which you can find user log. So view data and all rows. So inside which you are going to store certain actions that the user performs. So I was discussing about the signals now. When coming to signals, I took up all these things and say at receiver user logged in. It is simple as that. When the user is logged in, perform this operation. So what? So I'll just say user logged in signal. You can name it anything that you want. Okay, you need to have one sender and request and user as a arguments for this function. This is optional. When the user is logged in, first I'll print as user is logged in. Okay, this simple message it should print. Now going to the server, I'll see whether my so my server is running fine. I'll go to my application home and it is not logged in. So I'll try to log in first. Admin root at 123. Just log in. Okay, now it logged into the system. I should be able to see a message called user is logged in, but I am not able to see any message called user logged in. Okay, why this is? Because we have written the signal fine, but we have not activated this signal. So where we can activate this signal is here. Coming to not here, wherever we have written the inside the user section, we have written the signals. Okay, coming to the app, here we can activate this signal. Go here, say def ready self, and then simply say import. You need to import only the signals. You need to import those signals. That's it. That's done. Okay, this is how it works. From the users module, import signals. That's it. So now it should take me to user logged in. Whenever I'll write down another logout signal also. This is what the Django provides us, in order to have a faster development, as well as it is so simple to use this concept. So coming to, so now admin is logged into our system. I'll just click on this admin to log out. So once I logged out, I should be able to see message. See here, user logged out. Now I activated the signal here in the users app section, inside which you need to add one function called ready, and inside which you need to just import these signals. That is how you are activating these signals to be used by your Django application. Now once the user is logged in, also you should be able to see these things. Admin root at 123. Now my user is logged into the system. See, user is logged in. So I want to perform, sir. Now we have created the models for that. Okay, to store some data to store some data. First of all, we need to see which user is logging to the system, and user action. It will simply goes as user is logged in. If it is logged in, and user action will go as user is logged out if the user is logged out from the system, and the created date. So what I'll do here, first of all I go to signal, I log in these things. So I need a model called from users. Okay, I am into the users model, so I can just say some models, import user logs. Okay, I can import this user log and simply say create the user logs. User logged out, and this user, as we are passing, you can see as we are passing into this signal, this user, and it will create us the object user logs. Okay, also I'll copy it from the user login, and I'll say action as user log action as logged in. Okay, cool. So now if I show you first my table, that looks something empty like this. There is nothing in this table as of now. We are going to store some details based on these signals. So how we do that is just come over here, log out from the system. I logged out from the system. I'll go here and check in whether the details are stored into my table. Yes, now see, user log action is being stored as user logged out, and user logs created time and user ID of the user that has created has logged in. Okay, now if I try to log in with the user trending, okay, and then say root at 123. Okay, here you come here and just refresh. You should be able to see different ID. This here you can see on the line number second, user ID is 3. This user ID 3 is not only the ID, it stores whole user object itself under this when you are making use of the foreign key. Here you see the person is logged out and the ID for that is added. This is not only the user ID that it is displaying, it is also the user object that we are using. So you can make use of anything inside the user object. So if you see inside the user object, there are user photo, and from the abstract user there is username. You can access all those things. Okay, so this is how we are storing the user logs. Now I want to store the user logs as soon as the user add the products, wishlist products. So coming to models, okay, so as soon as this model is saved, okay, wishlist, so you Django provides you this functionality so that you don't need to write the things again and again. So if you see in the code, if the user is saved, this wishlist is saved, that time you want to perform some action. What you are going to do on this model save, I want to first take in what all things are required for me. I just want from django.db.models.signal. So these things I had told you what is pre-save and what is post-save. We will see as soon as our model wishlist is saved. So our model is present inside this product itself. So I'll come here, and also I'll import from Django.dispatch import receiver. Okay, so once this thing is done, I'll just come over here and I'll try adding the signal. So receiver, and then say first of all this receiver, I'll have one sender, so which is this wish list itself. Okay, and def save user logs pass. Now this receiver will trigger on this post save signal. Okay, sender is something whenever the wish list is saved. Okay, this is notifying that the wish list is saved, sender, and we will have this sender inside this as an argument. Once the wish list is saved, okay, what we are making is we are going to store user logs and say create wishlist user, and action is wishlist item added. Okay, so this is how we are storing the so we are going to pick up the user from the wish list and we are going to add it to the user logs, and user action is this. Okay, these two fields are enough, but here it shows the error message. So let's go and import from users dot model import user logs. So that error message will go off, and let's see on submission of this, whenever I add one particular item, it will go as wishlist item added as action into that database. So these user logs can be retrieved later on whenever you want to show some things. You see certain website that shows the user actions, that means on the backing website. So you cannot deny this, you haven't accessed this page. For that matter, these user logs are stored. Okay, I'll go to login. I'll just see where my application is failing. Yes, no module named users model. Why this is because no module name users model. From users model. Yes, it's models, not model. Sorry. To users table inside the models. I'll paste in this code. Okay, and then say receiver Django, from Django dot dispatcher import receiver. Okay, from Django dot db dot models dot signal import post save. This is the function that I'm going to use, and whenever the wish list is stored, okay, user logs is being present here only. I don't need to import it now. Just it was giving me a problem of user log, so I have pasted the code in the models. Okay, save this, or you can paste it in the signals file also, you however you wish to keep it as it. Okay, I'll quickly go ahead and demo this to you guys. This is my home page. I'll log into the system. So once you see there are these many rows available now, 1 to 3. Okay, 1 to 3. Once you log in, now I'll log in with trending. Okay, I'll log in with Abby because I don't have any wishlist added for this Abby. Okay, there was some mistake, username and password was wrong, root at 1 to 3. Moving ahead. Okay, I am coming to home page. I want wishlist is empty as of now because I haven't added any wishlist. Going to potatoes, in the detail view I'll add it to wishlist. Once I add, as soon as I add it to the wishlist, my user log should be updated. So id expects a number but got db models field related descriptor forward one script. Okay, there was some problem in adding the go to the wish list and check whether the model has okay. Yes, it is adding the product, but there is something wrong in the code. As soon as the model from the products URL wishlist pk wishlist pv. Okay, first of all it is taking as such and then creating this model. Once this model is created, product object id okay, pk, there is something wrong in it. Okay, detail inside the templates detail view page, you are supposed to add it to the wish list. Okay, I'll have it as wish list because this was giving me a trouble. Object dot id, object dot, not object dot id, object dot add it to wish list. unexpected field ID expected a number but got descriptor. Okay guys, I'll fix this problem in the next session. Okay, till now we have discussed this middleware, how it works. Okay, we discussed one scenario of the middleware, login required. Apart from that also we discussed the debugger for the Python, and then we came upon the signal. In that also we discussed login logout signal. We were discussing about the model signals when the post save happens, when the as soon as your wishlist item is saved, your user log should be logged in as wishlist item saved. So while doing this we faced a problem on this add to wishlist. Okay, so after the logout, okay, 1 minute. Okay, I'll fix that problem for you guys in the next session. But for today's class there is one assignment, you can take it down. Whatever we were supposed to do in today's with the model signal, I have already told you there is a model signal called post save. With that post save you should be able to put the user logs. Okay, please try that thing out. Okay, we are still able to discuss this in the further session. So also we will discuss about post delete also. As soon as I had two problems in this section, one is delete view and one is the signals post save and post delete. So these all things we'll discuss in the further class. Thank you for watching and see you in the next class.